Okay, so you're welcome back to the show. It's time for court today with Murtala in this side. Murtala came today to the studio with books, so we're just looking at it.
Yeah.
Civil litigation in the lawyer is not easy.
So they are
Murtala, how are you?
Yes, good morning, Lily, and good morning, Serwaa.
Good morning,
Yes, today I'm
Captain.
working like a professor.
Yes.
Yeah, working with 2 books.
Yes. Today you're a logophile.
So this morning I carried with me these 2 books because there's a lawyer friend who has been monitoring this show, who has been watching the show, and he's actually love what we are doing here. And Serwaa will know more about this.
Yeah, he's
this
gifted.
Man. Absolutely. So he's an author as well, a lecturer as well, and he's an astute lawyer. He's been a lot of. In fact, one of the cases that when I mention, you can easily know who I'm talking about is the issue regarding the celebrities case at the Supreme Court, where the FDA banned them from advertising on alcoholic products.
Yeah.
Yes. So lawyer Bobby Banson. So he's gifted me 2 books to read. So these are 2 of his books. That's the first one, Civil Litigation in the High Court of Ghana. And then the second one has to do with commercial arbitration in Ghana, practice and procedure. Yes. I'm sure Serwaa have read it. So I'm also going to read it. And when I
haven't read commercial arbitration.
When I come here and I'm doing guy, you should understand that.
I haven't read commercial arbitration, but I've read civil litigation.
Civil litigation, yeah.
You know, so I wish you the very best in reading the book. It's actually a very nice read.
Yes.
It's very simplified.
Absolutely.
You know, especially it's you don't have to be a lawyer to read
and
understand.
Yes, and understand. It's been very simplified.
Yes. Okay.
You know.
I received these 2 books yesterday. So lawyer Bobby Banson, or Bobby Banson Esquire. I say thank you so much, and I'll make you proud.
And precisely, that's the part that you need to talk about, because we saw what's in the book.
Yeah, he gave you a simple note.
Yes. There's something that he said.
Yeah.
He said when he was minuting the book, so I want the camera to capture it before I read it.
Hey, Murtala,
the camera to
we will
capture
send you a check.
So it says that, dear Murtala,
He says the director says you should show it to the camera.
Okay. So this is what is captured here. Before I read it.
Lily, can you please read?
Lily, read
what's
it
the
for
word?
me.
Logo. Read it.
He says, may a reading of this book bring you what?
Inspiration.
Inspiration to start and finish your legal journey.
I'm inspired. Lawyer.
So please, start the legal journey.
It will start very soon.
Captain.
You know, the way that Murtala, I always tell him, you know, that the way he knows his stuff and he has come to appreciate the law over time, he really wouldn't struggle at all. At all in learning the law. So please, this is a very big challenge.
Oh, yeah, it's a very
for
big
you to
challenge
begin now. Every morning
I'm
we
studying
say
the law
think
here.
big.
Yes.
Yeah, I've started reading
By,
the law here.
yeah, so congratulations
Absolutely.
on that. And
Thank
you know,
you.
one thing about Bobby Banting is that he can teach you civil procedure in 30 minutes.
Wow.
Everything.
So that shows the experience that he's gathered over.
Yeah. So all the best. All the
Thank
best.
you.
Anyway,
So-
let's. What happened in court yesterday?
Yeah, so I'm taking you to, you notice like last week was an ADR week, and the beginning of the ADR week was shattered because of the organized labor action and all that. So if we're gathering the data, the success nature of this very ADR week and all that. But one very institution, Institute of Paralegal Studies, they are churning out some ADR. You notice the case of the courts. There are a lot of backlog of cases, and they need ADR professionals to come and support and make sure that they reduce the backlog of cases. So Institute of Paralegals have been churning out some of these professionals, and then some of them had been graduated, giving certificate and all that. But let's go and listen to
They are
Mr.
paralegals.
Yes,
like
paralegals.
in Ghana.
Yes.
A whole institute.
Yes.
That's really cool
Yes. So they train these professionals. So 80 of them were graduated and all that. So let's hear from Alex Nate, who is a PR, I beg your pardon, ADR consultant. Let's hear from him. He's making the point that the Hang Parliament was supposed to have brought some new change in the way Ghanaians do things. But unfortunately, it has failed.
Right.
But he has this advice for ADR practitioners.
Sometimes we ask as a nation why we are not developing the way we expect. And I can tell you for sure, one of the major reasons why we are not progressing as rapid as we expect is that as a nation, we do not have what it takes to collaborate with one another for superior success. That is what has affected our nation. And this is evidence in what we have seen in how our hung parliament has worked. We thought that the hung nature of parliament was going to engender cooperation and a meaningful cooperation and collaboration among our parliamentarians for running Ghana. And that has rather jeopardized a lot of national effort. And we don't need to hide our faces when we are saying this. Had a breakthrough. And we are going to have quality of deliberation in Parliament for the general good of Ghana. But hung Parliament couldn't achieve that. We have had one of the worst economic challenges when we had hung Parliament. And we never saw them reasoning over our challenges. It has not been an exemplary at all because Ghanaians in general lack the interest-based approach to handling issues. We are all the time emotional. And when emotions are at their peak, wisdom vanishes. So when you see a parliamentarian addressing Mr. Speaker as if he's annoying with everybody in the world, you can conclude that he's not going to say anything good than to be partisan. Partisanship does not develop any country. It is collaboration and objectivity. And that is what ADR provides its practitioners.
Anyway, so that's Alex Neti.
Yes,
He's
so
ADR consultant.
He's been giving us insight why the hung parliament should have done better than it is. But let's also hear from Kontiri Hini of Konti Hini of
Hey,
Temati.
Mutala, where are you from?
He's a
We
guy.
don't like that.
It's Konti Hini.
Yes.
Konti Hini.
Konti Hini.
Of Temati in the Kumewu.
No, but it's Konti Hini. It's not Konti.
Yes, Konti Hini. Yes, you got it right. Of Kumewu traditional area. In fact, he has been a chief ADR professional, and he's telling us how that helped him and looking at his subjects,
Right.
taking decisions and all that. And let's also listen to this, what he has for the ADR professionals.
Even with all of us, we are agents of peace. Let's promote peace. Let us not fan into flames already existing chaos. By dint of your training, be assimilated, wholly transformed to add up to the few people who are promoting peace, transformation through the wings of ADR. And I can assure you that between a space of 5 to 10 years, the law courts will be less. And the agents of ADR who are poised to bring out solutions and make sure society becomes a convenient and harmonious place to live will then thrive. So put yourself together. There's a lot ahead of us, but it all boils down to reading. Recently, when I went to my place, just
Anyway,
so
Nana.
yes, Nana AJC Kappa.
Okay.
He actually chaired this particular exams and all that. Let's also listen to the director of IPLS. Goslav Koko Nati.
Those who did professional executive master in alternative dispute resolution, and those who did professional executive master in general paralegal studies. Some also did executive certificate in alternative dispute resolution, and I think the last group, they also did alternative dispute resolution. However, we have online and then in person, so some did online and some did in person. So these are the people we have graduated this year. They started in February and in March, and then they are finally graduating today. So the feedback has been great in that our students talk well about us, and then our main goal is to create awareness about ADR, and then since we have this awareness being created, we believe that it is a great feedback for us. Our previous graduation, we also graduated 80 people. Yeah, so far this year we've graduated 160 people, and then we believe that these are great people who will go out and then create the awareness we want ADR to create, and then they will do their work well so that the burden on the court will be released, and many people will come and then study to be ADR practitioners and also paralegals. The message I have for them is that they should be trustworthy, and then they shouldn't go out putting themselves out as lawyers. They should go out and then put themselves out as facilitators of disputes. They should help people to facilitate their disputes and not judge people for their disputes. Okay, and then our paralegal students who are not going out to put themselves out as lawyers, but rather paralegals who are very beneficial to lawyers. So to the general public, if you have a case and it is not criminal and it is amenable by ADR, I'm advising you that ADR is short. I mean, it is cost effective. The process is not so long. You know, there are cases in the courts that can go as far as 20 years, 15 years. But if your case is amenable by ADR, then you should try ADR, and then you would see the benefits for yourself.
Goslav Koko Nati. She's the rector of IPLS, Institute of Paralegals, which channel these professionals and all that. So that is in relation to ADR. But in the coming days, we'll be talking to the ADR directors about what the success rate of this very ADR week that has gone by is all about. Yes.
Let's look at some of the cases coming up. We know that the president is swearing in some judges.
Yes.
And then the ambulance case.
Judges.
Yes, so today
Mm-hmm.
yes, at the presidency, in fact, the Jubilee House, of course, some people will be promoted from the High Court to the Court of Appeal. And Lily, your friend, is one of them. Justice Lydia Osei-Mafo, yes. Okay. Yeah. Her name is in there, and today she's one of the judges who will be, in fact, quite recently, the nominations came out, and we had about 16 of them being penciled down for elevation. But my understanding is that not all of them made the cuts. But today, those who made the cuts will be sworn in by the president. Justice Lydia Osei-Mafo. In fact, when I mentioned Justice Lydia Osei-Mafo, there are a lot of cases that she's dealt with. This JB Killer case, Kaswa Ritual Murder, GHOne, all of them, she dealt with all of them. And Justice Abuaje Tando is also one of the judges that you will see him there, also being elevated.
His name is regular
absolutely.
on court today.
I remember from the circuit court, all over. He's the only judge, when you go to his court, he has a very unique way of dealing with the matter. Things are happening before you ready. Then everybody was like, what is happening? He went to Winneba, they came back to Accra, and now, in fact, the Cocoa Board case is the one handling it. So he's one of those judges who will also be elevated today. So congratulations to all these judges. It's always
the
good
director of the law school will also be.
Yes, Yaopon.
Yeah,
Yaopon.
He isn't a high court judge, but
he's also in there.
Yeah, be sworn in today as a Court of Appeal judge. Congratulations.
The kind of people who are being elevated today are people that you know that they surely deserve. So we'll see them there, of course. And then the ambulance case.
Yeah, today is Tuesday.
Yeah, today is Tuesday, but it is looking 50-50.
Why?
Why? Because of the budget.
Budget
yes, the budget review. And the first accused person, Dr. Kasiel Atufosin is the minority leader, and the chances are that he has to be in parliament for this. It is not yet clear though, but it shouldn't surprise anybody if this case didn't happen today. Of course, we expect Alex Segbefia, the former Minister for Health, to appear as the second defense witness for businessman Richard Jakpa. And the first time, the first witness came and all that. So that is what we expect. Justice Efia Serwaa Amihere will make a determination. But it is looking like 50-50, this case. If what is supposed to happen in Parliament comes on, then this case surely will be adjourned.
Men's gold?
Yes, Nana Appiah Mensah, for the first time after Justice Ernest Owusu Dapaah has ordered him to open his defense because prosecution has made a case against him. Witnesses, there's a prima facie for him, evidence established, so he has to open his defense. Today, he's expected in court, and the court for a mini case management conference, and then of course he'll move on to enter the witness box and tell the court what he knows about these whole charges. In fact, 39 of them, but 3 of them were struck out or were withdrawn. Prosecution abandoned it. So now the 36 count, he has to provide answers to the selling gold without license and other counts, defrauding by false pretenses, money laundering, and fraudulent breach of trust. So some of these charges are what Namwan is expected to respond to. So today he'll be in court, and then we'll know what will happen in relation to that.
Okay. Are the jurors back?
They are not. Yesterday I met a few of them and said, no, we'll be back soon, but not now.
So what happens to the JB killer case, Kasori, which is expected
absolutely today
to have their verdict, final judgment?
Today is the 4th time that it is looking likely that it will be adjourned. Just one sitting, then we are done with the case, but it will be adjourned because the jurors are not. My understanding is that they want to phase them out of the system. Okay. Because some of them have been in the system for a very long time. So
you mean not the juror system, but these set of jurors?
Absolutely. Not this set of jurors, but the experienced jurors in the system. You know, in a jury system, or the way of, you are not supposed to have so much knowledge about what even happened in court. Okay. You just have to be somebody who is sound educated. So you just come there, sit down, listen to what happened. But there are some of them who have been in the system for a while, handling a lot of cases year in, year out. I think the CJ wants to phase them out and bring in new people. That is where the bone of contention is. So if that is what you want to do, then give us our money. Because we know that if you don't give us our money and we finish those cases, you are not going to get it. So that is the reason, the main reason these jurors are holding on to that. 4 months has been paid.
Where do you see these jurors?
They are around the court.
But that is how our system is. So you are not supposed to even you're not supposed to get close to the jurors at all.
We have our system here. After court, the jurors are around. So you can understand a very dangerous and very sensitive matter that ought to be looked at. The jury system, there's a big issue with it that has to be.
Because how are jurors having conversations and telling reporters that we will come back? No. Do you know how the accused persons or even prosecution may approach them to have conversations with them?
It is one of the biggest challenges, or one of the biggest challenge with the jury system. The way the system is not safe for everyone.
Maybe that's why the CJ wants to
even if I want to, those days when the issue of murder is death sentence, all that I have to do is identify 1 or 2 jurors
and compromise them.
If I can,
if it's possible, if they are so accessible.
Yes. No, in fact, they are very, very accessible. They are very, very accessible.
That's really sad.
And it's one challenge that the system will have to address, if anything at all, is to resolve around it. So yesterday, some of them were around, and they said, look, until we get our monies, we are not back. And they are still having meetings with the leadership and all that. So we'll know more in the coming. So that case is not coming. And then Sexy Dondon is supposed to come on today, but that one too. Definitely
the jurors are absent.
Yes.
No show. Yes. Okay, Captain. Thank you very much.
Thank you to the deal.
We'll catch you on the flip side.
Absolutely. I'm going with
enjoy
my
your books.
Yes, I'm going with my books.
You're welcome back to the show. This is GH Today. I'm Serwaa Amihere. It's time for the breakfast review. I'm joined in the studio by Mr. Kwame Jantua Esquire. He's a member of the CPP. And George AEC is Director of Communications for NADMO. Osman Ayariga Esquire is Deputy National Youth Organizer for the NDC. Good morning, gentlemen.
Good morning.
You're welcome to the show. I want us to start off with our expectations ahead of the media budget review, which will be presented in Parliament today, very quickly. And I'll start with you, MPP communicator, stroke, NADMO director, NADMO communications director. What should we expect?
Oh, thank you. Good morning, Serwaa. Good morning to my colleagues. And good morning to our viewers. Yes, I think the government launched the SME support fund of 8.2 billion, and we believe it will get mentioned there. There's not going to be supplementary budget. What it means is that government is not going to ask for any more money. It also means there's not going to be new taxes brought into the budget. I've heard some business people saying there shouldn't be the introduction of any new taxes. And so that is going to happen. There'll be no new taxes. No, government is not going to ask for money. People will be wondering why election year, why you say you are not going to be asking for more money. We are operating within a strict budget, and so we are rather looking at expenditure cuts and measures to improve on the revenues. Fortunately, GRA has met their half-year revenue projection, and so we are hoping the next half year they'll be able to go more. So that we'll get more revenue to be able to meet expectation. Fortunately, our engagement with the IMF and co who definitely received mention, our ability to meet the QPC's quantitative performance criteria and all the other targets, which enabled us to pass the second review. I'm also will be expecting to hear something about negotiations with the IPPs. Government is successfully negotiated with the 5 of the 7. It's left with Sonon Asogli and Car Power. We from the indications, Sonon Asogli has been very supportive and cooperative with government from day one. But whatever is holding the conclusion, we believe is going to be cleared off, and that will also get proper mention. And that means, you know, fortunately for us, the issues of erratic power and co is not going to recur because so far we are getting stable power supply as of now. So once we conclude those negotiations, it is going to help and co. And another one, we're going to look at the social protection policies being mentioned.
I mean, speaking of taxes, you don't intend to scrap any taxes?
No.
So we're going to continue paying the COVID levy?
Elizabeth, I don't have any hint of scrapping of any. We are not bringing any new one. And we are taking measures to operate within our strict expenditure. We're going to manage the expenditure. Fortunately, works have resumed on some of the ongoing projects, and that will be because of the successful conclusion of bilateral negotiation with the bilateral creditors. So, you know, we said at a point in time we suspended payment of bilateral debts, and multilateral debt payment had been going on. And so after the successful negotiations and then getting a haircut on the Eurobond debt of 13.1 billion to by 4.7 billion, and debt rescheduling of about 4.4 billion is giving us the space to be able to continue with some of these projects. And we are looking at the Budumburam end there of the works going on there. Of course, there's Sawam, Pokuasi Sawam work is going on. We are looking at the possible resumption of some of the Nungua enclave projects. And so these are things that I was touching on the social programs. The IMF is satisfied with the way we are handling the LEAP, the capitation grant, the school feeding, and the national health insurance. So these are places that they are looking at the way we are performing, because they taxed us to have some quantum of expenditure there. And so those monies are going. It's part of the targets that we are meeting. And so they are very satisfied with that. And that will receive mention. Another area that will receive mention is the bailouts. People within the financial sector that were touched. I would dare to say that we are likely to hear something on Gold Coast Securities and you know, how they are investment is going to be. So be part of those bailouts. We are looking at, I think, about 1.5 billion or so to be directed towards those people. And so these are some of the issues that I think we'll be touching on, especially being in election year. How we'll be able to, most elections here, we have expenditure overruns. It's not going to happen this time, most especially because we are operating within the IMF enclave. And then measures will be put in place to see, maybe announced, on how we can hold the forex, the exchange rate issues, so that we will not have it slipping, because last year by this time we were looking at 21.9% depreciation. Now we are looking at 18.5, which is holding and good. And so yes, these are some of the things we are looking at that the finance minister will be touching on in this supplementary budget to the Ghanaian people. Is to inspire hope. Is going to give overview of the last 6 months, how we have performed, and then outlook for the next 6 months. And, that is something that we believe is going to be within the budget. But the major one is the SME support, 8.2 billion. We are looking at some of the 1D1F and some of these businesses within that enclave having support from between 1 million to 5 million Ghana cedis. Those be involved in capital expenditure things, about 20 million, and the smaller. One thing too is this money is not going to be given to individuals. There's a technical committee that is going to be looking at it and then doing the assessment. So we'll not be having issues of maybe an individual saying he's a political person and he got this much and on a table or something. No, those things will never happen as far as this support, because it's a strategic, targeted policy to help reinvigorate the economy and bring the economy back to life. So we are positive with all the indicators. IMF is satisfied, the World Bank and Co., African Development Bank, they are supporting. In fact, African Development Bank is supporting these SME projects with about $400 million. And so these will get mentioned in the budget. So it is a very progressive and forward-looking budget to contain expenditure and improve on revenue collection.
Osman.
Yes, good morning to you and good morning to my brothers here. Well, I don't know how to express my feelings as far as this budget is concerned. But what I can say, and the only satisfaction I have, is that this will be the last budget we'll be hearing from the NPP government. This will be the last budget reading. Because
you wish.
After 7th of December, they will be kicked out of government. And I believe this is the first budget reading coming from the current finance minister. The current NPP government has been turning the corner so far as this economy is concerned. And I do not know when they'll finish turning the corner, because as it stands now, we have not even found our way out of the current mess economically, and our standards of living have continuously deteriorated. You look at exchange rates, you look at cost of living, and above all, for me, being a youth and a youth leader of the NDC, what strikes me most is the current high level of unemployment rate, which currently stands at 14.8%. And you also look at the current numbers, which is equals to 1.9 million. When you look at the Ghana Statistical, so the GSS report, 1.9 million unemployed, unskilled youth. That is a national security issue. That is an issue that should be integral, and that is an issue that I, as a person, should be concerned and interested in. And I do not see any proper roadmap to taking us out of that current situation. So the current budget reading, what I want to see and what the youth of this country want to see is how you can reduce the numbers of 1.9 million unemployed youth in this country. That is what we should be looking at. That is what we should be interested in. Most especially to us, it's an election year. There's a tendency of government to overspend so far as elections are concerned. And we all know what this current MPP government is capable of doing. We all know how some COVID monies during election year were sent to some MPP executives in the north, how monies were shared like granules. So we are wide open so far as our eyes are concerned to observe and to see how election expenditure is going to be, and that is also key to us. So, Serwaa, we are waiting to see what they will say. I thought by now they will be telling us that we are reducing or actually removing some taxes, as you mentioned, COVID tax, the baller tax, etc., that have built up to increase the prices of some goods and services. We thought by now most of those taxes would have been removed to at least reduce the pressures on the ordinary Ghanaian. But the taxes are still there, and we just hope to see what will come out of this budget reading. But trust me, I don't expect anything significant or progressive so far as this budget is concerned. And as I said, it is their last budget reading, so we wish them well, and we wish them farewell.
Mr. Tantua.
Good morning. Good morning to our viewers. Serwaa, we're in a straitjacket. Present moment, the country's in a straitjacket with the IMF. And really, what the government, I think, would want to do is to keep the status quo, not rock the boat any further. However, I would want to see a situation where at least the inflation figures on the different sectors would be worked on, especially it's got to do with food inflation, where the Ghanaian would be able to at least start, affording some of the expensive goods we find on the markets, tomatoes, onions, okra, basic food. I would want to see something done about that. But I don't think at this material moment the MPP want to rock the boat. It's only 5 months to go to the next election. So if they can cut expenditure, fine, but you can see that the only place where the MPP is able, or the government is able to borrow right now is on treasury bills. And it's quite a huge burden on government for that, because you need to pay with regards to the durations that they mature. So I'm not expecting anything out of the ordinary. I'm not expecting anything new. I'm not expecting any cuts of taxes, just to make sure that they are able to float through till the election time. I'll leave it at that.
All right. Let's talk about the Vice President now. The Vice President has made a promise, and he says that there's going to be a credit scoring scheme that will allow Ghanaians buy phones on credit and pay between 1 to 2 Ghana cedis per month. Well, it's an old promise, which has resurfaced, I believe. But can you explain it to us? Because I don't understand what it means. I don't understand it.
Well, credit score is normal, but the phone issue is what I also don't have the details of. That's he's going to pay 1 CD and co. I'm not even aware of that. But the issue of credit score, he's touched on that. That's rather,
is it a new promise?
Oh, no, I think he's said it before. And, most countries operate credit score system and co. And what it means is to be able to expend ahead of time, and then you having credit cards and all those things. What it means, if we get into that point, it means we are getting a solid economy. And so the credit environment is going to be a regime that is trustworthy and dependable, because we've gone into the national identification area. It's easy to identify people and get them, and that is a platform for a very effective credit environment. And so yes, if we're drifting towards that, the banking systems are having confidence in the individuals. They don't need to be asking people the blue kiosk or the red kiosk or whatever to be able to get to the location of an individual. With a click of a button, the individual can be identified, and then his location can be known. What it means is also going to help get people go to tertiary education and co on credit. We'll be able to get access to credit to finance the education and then pay thereafter and co. But the issue of the 1 CD payment for phones and co, I'm yet to apprise myself of the details of that. I've not gotten the detailed explanation of how that is going to operate in the credit environment. But the general credit environment is something that we are very, very confident that we have built the environment, we've built the platform for the successful takeoff of that, and the banking sectors are assured because it's easy to trace individuals. That's why sometimes cost of credit with the banks hitherto were high, because the possibility of performing loans and portfolio going up. But now, because there's national identification and over 17.8 million Ghanaians have been enrolled on the NIA platform, it's engenders confidence in the financial environment. And so that is a good way to say we are going into the credit score regime. That is good. But on the phone issue, so I cannot pretend to say I know the details of that.
Mr. Yariga, you seem to know the details of it because you've been laughing the whole time. So since you have the details of it, why don't you tell us?
You see, I sympathize with Mr. AC and all the MPP communicators. Baumia makes their work extremely difficult.
No, I'm not aware of that thing. That's why.
Yes, Baumia has made your work difficult.
No.
Because every day Baumia goes out and there's one new promise or the other. And he's confusing all the MPP communicators. And when you listen to them, they are all singing from a different hymn book.
How?
Today, Mr. Isi says he doesn't know anything about the one Ghana, one phone promise Baumia made. I'm not the one saying it. You are the one saying it. That you don't know anything about it. So Baumia has made your work difficult. And I'm only sympathizing with you. That Baumia has made, yes, you don't have the details. So he has made your work difficult, because if he had made a very clear, unambiguous promise, you wouldn't be here suffering. So I'm only sympathizing with you. So I'm sorry. So you see, Baumia made a categorical promise that people would now go and take phones and be paying 1 CD, 2 CD every month. And that was a promise he made. And the videos are out there.
Okay.
And I think Baumia ought to take the citizens and ask seriously. What is he trying to talk about? And then you see all their communicators, they are all singing from a different hymn book. I saw a post from your director of communications, Miracles. He also tried to explain it. He also went round. Still, he wasn't really hitting any point. That's why I keep sympathizing with all the MPP communicators. Now, you realize that he's also trying to explain it from the credit point of view. Then you ask yourself, what is this whole credit all about? And what are they trying to communicate? And you realize that every time they try to explain the entire credit issue, they try to hinge it solely on the Ghana card. And remember, Baumia recently made another promise that very soon we'll use our Ghana card to buy cars. When he was asked, he came back, tried to explain. So many promises. Every day, day in, day out, the promises are new. You see, the issue of credit has to do with your income. And it's everywhere. It is a private sector policy that has been driven. It has to do with your constant supply or constant income. How much are you earning? What is the security of your income? Do you have a secure job? How well is your job? How much are you earning as a salary? When they take out your rent, your taxes, how much is left? How much of it can they use as credit to forward you? That is what it's all about. It has very little to do with Ghana card. It has a lot to do with the job you have and how much you are earning. So if I hear you try to explain it as if this whole credit issue is about Ghana card, and once you have a Ghana card, you can just walk anywhere and start purchasing things on credit. It doesn't work that way. And that brings us to the fact that you have failed in providing us secure jobs. And that's why we have 1.9 million people out there who do not have jobs. So how then can they access this so-called credit facility you are talking about day in, day out? If you go out to the UK and other countries, before you can even access most of these credits, they look at your history. Where have you worked before? How long have you been working there? How much do you take home? How much is it you pay as rent? How much is it you pay as gas? How much of it is left that the banks can now issue you any form of credit? That is how it works. So if you do not have sustainable jobs, you cannot even be talking about credit. So the conversation should be about what jobs he, as Bawumia, is going to create for the youth of this country or for the citizens of this country, and not about credit. What is it? We have heard so many promises from Bawumia. The same Bawumia, one village, one dump, one district, one factory, one constituency, 1 million money for churches, credit rating, jobs everywhere, and they are all lies. Do you know, Serwaa, from like this same, do you know from this same credit rating and this same credit facility that he's talking about? Do you know? I mean, from the recent ruling by Kojo Bafo against versus the Attorney General, where they said the first ladies and second ladies cannot even earn salaries. You know, per this same structure, even the first lady and the second lady do not even have that's written to be able to go and secure even the phones Bawumia is talking about. Because one, they do not have salaries. And that is what it's all about. You need a salary, you need a job before you can even talk about credit. That is what you need. Otherwise, which bank, which company will issue you credit to be able to go and buy a phone? So from Bawumia's analysis today, Serwaa, if you want to buy your phone at 1 cedi, iPhone 12, 13, 14, 15, you will have to pay for 1,000 years because every month you pay 1 cedi, 1 cedi. So we are all waiting to see how the policy would work, which we all know Bawumia cannot, will not, shall not win the next election. So it is just another promise that he will not see the light of day. But don't be surprised, in the coming days, just as he retracted and apologized for the issue of the churches, that he didn't mean what he said, don't be surprised in the coming days, Bawumia will come back and eat his same words and say, this is not how he meant it, that he didn't mean that you actually pay 1 Ghana. So Bawumia needs to be serious as a candidate. And the jokes and the comedy in this whole campaign has become one too many. And
you know what? I need you to hold on for me, especially because of him. I want us to listen to the Vice President. Okay, let's listen to him. You know, maybe he'll remember.
Yeah, I have not seen that.
Affordable. And the mobile companies, no, you're begging Kata in Kitaho. Now the mobile phones, no, I'm a nipa, not Mafia, Watria, 1 cedi, 2 cedi, 1 cedi, 2 cedi, Kakaka, Namotria, mobile phone, the more 80, Yadi, Sarah, scheme, no, every Ogia, because we need everybody to have a smart device. We will make it easy for people. We will make access to mobile phones affordable. And the mobile companies, no, you're begging Kata in Kitaho. Now the mobile phones, no, I'm a nipa, not Mafia, Watria, 1 cedi, 2 cedi, 1 cedi, 2 cedi, Kakaka, Namotria, mobile phone, the more 80, Yadi, Sarah, scheme, no, every Ogia, because we need everybody to have a smart device. We will make it easy for people. We will make access to mobile phones.
Okay, so this is actually a very recent promise, and you've all heard him. It's actually a video, and he says that if he becomes president, he will see to it that Ghanaians buy smartphones on credit and pay 1 Ghana cedi or 2 Ghana cedi monthly installment. Now that you have heard it,
yes,
is it possible?
Yes, he's talking about gradual payments. Okay, it's you see, people are taking the literal meaning. This euphemistic statement.
What is euphemistic?
Euphemism. What it means is that you pay it gradually. Okay, small.
But
okay?
that's the same thing he said in the video. So what
yes,
don't we
1 cedi, 2 cedi.
If he said that
but
in the
people
video,
literally are saying 1 cedi.
Yeah,
definitely. Because I read a former, a sitting MP, my good friend Roxanne, the farmer, was saying is going to take 600 years or so to pay, and my brother also alluded to 1,000. But what he's saying is that you take it on credit and you pay gradually.
Okay, that's but all. You are saying that, what's the word you used again?
Euphemism.
Euphemism.
Yes.
And you're saying
it's not
that
literal meaning.
So then why did he give us 1 cedi, 2 cedi? Why didn't he give us the exact? This is a campaign season. This is you cannot tell us you intended for maybe us to pay 10 cedis a month or 200 cedis a month, but you just use 1 CD, 2 CD
Yes.
for the sake of euphemism.
Yes.
That's what it is.
Yeah. So for instance,
so he doesn't mean the 1
Roxanne,
CD.
Honorable Roxanne, the
Please, does he mean the 1 CD?
Yeah, it's one gradual. So it may not be 1 CD in the strictest sense of the word 1 CD.
Let's get it straight.
No,
is it 1 CD?
No.
It's not 1 CD.
It will, so you buy the thing and you pay it in installment, gradual process.
At what cost?
It depends on the phone. For instance, Roxanne Nelson, the Honorable, mentioned a 6,000 phone. Okay. So what about the person who also buys the 150 phone? How is he also going to pay it?
That'll be 150, 15 years.
you get me, sir.
Yeah, but that's what he's saying.
So,
is it possible?
No,
if you buy...
it's not going to be the 1 CD in the literal meaning. Okay, so I want the details, but from what I've just heard, you don't take the literal meaning of it. It means installment payment, gradual payment.
You said earlier that you don't know about this policy.
Yes, I didn't. I have not.
But you know that
he's
being euphemistic.
Yes.
How?
No, upon listening to him now,
you know what he had in mind.
People are taking the literal meaning, and I'm surprised because when I listed, because definitely you can be paying the word in the strictest sense, even if you take the 151, you pay 1 CD a month. No. You get it. So that's why I'm saying it's euphemism.
So why don't you?
So people who take the literal for propaganda reasons. And the second one, the church one he mentioned.
Hold on.
Yes.
Why don't you politicians tell us the truth so that
we
make a decision based on that? So if you tell us that you've spoken with the telcos and we are going to be paying 1 CD, 2 CD a month, and because of that, I vote for you. And later you tell me that you were being euphemistic. And so you just meant installment payment and not 1 Ghana cedi. That is not you being entirely honest. And this isn't the first time.
Why not? He even used the word gradual. He even used the word gradual.
Maybe I'm not the one. I'm the only one who doesn't understand it that way. But I want him. So that's your explanation.
Yes, that's my understanding of the video I just watched.
Did it sound euphemistic for you too?
No. Bawumia was categorically clear in his promise
euphemism.
Bawumia was categorically clear.
Director,
unambiguous in his promise.
Please play the video again.
Thank you.
What we have 1 CD, 2 CD, 1 CD, 2 CD. Kakra, number 3, mobile phone before 80. Scheme every obia because we need everybody to have a smart device. We will make it easy for people. We will make access to mobile phones affordable. And the mobile companies, you're betting kata in Kitaho. Now the mobile phones, Amanipa, not Mafia, what we have 1 CD, 2 CD, 1 CD, 2 CD. Kakra, number 3, mobile phone before 80. Scheme every obia because we need everybody to have a smart device. We will make it easy for people. We will make access to mobile phones.
Yes, so I'm saying we have all watched the video. We have heard Alhaji Mahmood Bawumia. He made a categorical promise, very clear, unambiguous promise. He said that they would go into agreement with the mobile companies, and you will be paying 1 CD, 2 CD, 1 CD, 2 CD. Kakra is the 1 CD and the 2 CD. That is the kakra. But today you are trying to tell us that he didn't mean 1 CD, 2 CD, but he meant that you pay it gradually. You cannot start interpreting the man's promises for us. We have ears, we have eyes, we have heard, we have seen, we have minds of our own. We are able to decipher and understand what the man has said. And that is Bawumia's promise. You see, the continuous desperation of Bawumia to win power and the continuous promises and the lies is what has landed him
the same thing about
every day he continues to make new promises. Now the current promise or the recent promise is what? 1 CD, 2 CD, 1 CD, 2 CD. And he says it's what? Euphemism. How can this be euphemism? The man is clear. Unless you are trying to tell us that Bawumia himself is not smart enough to make a categorical promise. And you are now trying to interpret his promise to us. You are the one inferring that the man is not smart. Actually, you are trying to tell us he's dumb. To say 1 cedi, 2 cedi, and you actually mean that it's gradual.
He said it. He said that. Kakra, kakra. What does it mean?
1 cedi isn't it, kakra? So he means 1 cedi, 2 cedi. So don't tell us that he doesn't mean 1 cedi, 2 cedis. So that is the promise coming from Bawumia.
The baseline is a credit facility.
To the Ghanaian people, Bawumia says that we should be voted for, because when you want to buy a phone, he will make sure that you pay 1 cedi, 2 cedi, 1 cedi, 2 cedi every month for the next 10 years. If you want to buy an iPhone, mean that you pay for 1,000 years. If you want to buy any other for maybe Android, which is maybe 6,000, you'll be paying for 600 years. So this is for the Ghanaian people to understand the promise and know what to make of the promise. So please, Mr. Isi, as I told you, Bawumia has made your work very difficult for you, and I can sympathize and understand you.
Okay.
I just hope when they succeed, they will not associate themselves that they brought it.
2 cedi.
That they brought it.
1 cedi, 2 cedi.
Health insurance, VSHS, they brought it.
Okay, Mr. Jantwa, did you also sense euphemism in those words?
Clear. That big word I didn't understand.
Me too, I just checked.
So I tried to pull it up, and what it says is that euphemism can be helpful in sensitive situations.
Thank you.
But they can also be used to obscure the truth or avoid direct communication.
Good.
From what I take from the 1 cedi, 2 cedi, I think what Vice President Bawumia was trying to say is that it will be cheap to pay.
Thank you.
That is the way I see the 1 cedi, 2 cedi. It's something that can be cheap to pay. You'll be able to afford it to pay. It won't be excessive. So use the 1 cedi, 2 cedis as an example. But then, as here, some people take it literally. So yes, he should have come clearer as to what he meant. Now, second point, credit score. Is our system such that we can put in a credit score that would work? Osman itemized quite a number of things that need to be in place. Is our system that robust?
Yeah, I disagree with him.
Robust to be able to handle a credit score or credit? Is it possible? I think it would be very, very difficult to do. Because first of all, you've got to be able to address the mindset of the people for them to be able to understand what that entire thing means. It could be a certain class of society, probably upper to middle class, who would understand it. However, the masses might not. And let me give you an example on the phone bit that the Vice President talked about. It's not new. MTN started MTN Quick Loan or MTN Device Loan, where they made devices, give people loans to buy devices, and then they would pay in installment. And what was the criteria? Eligible customers can purchase a mobile phone from authorized MTN dealers or stores. The customer pays a deposit and the remaining balance is financed by MTN. The customer repays the loan in installments over a set period, usually 3 to 6 months. And the loan is repaid through deductions from the customer's airtime purchase or mobile money wallet. Serwaa, how many people abused this? Quite a lot of people abused it. They abused it so much so that if you're sending Momo to someone and they give you a number, they tell, don't use this number. If you use this number, they'll deduct because I did X, I did Y. So we need to be able to bring such, and I'll call it sophisticated things in. You need to be able to get the people to understand. Yes, credit score with regards to loans is important. That one is where I guess the ID card comes in.
Merci beaucoup.
Where loans are concerned, you go to a bank, you get a loan, then they look back at it and see, Mr. Jantwa, he took a loan this day, he didn't pay that bit, yes. We need to put that in place. That I agree. But in terms of high purchase, I think it's going to be a very difficult thing. And you know, the way we are moving, the way the country is moving, the way our politics is moving, the way our governance is moving, politicians should be very, very, very careful what they say on political platforms. The people aren't going to take such promises lying down anymore. So if you know you can't do it, don't say it.
You can do it.
Because look, recently, the teachers' laptops, what was said to us? The government came in straight. We are providing X quantum of laptops for teachers and all that. They gave half, and there's quite a lot that hasn't been provided. What does that give the individual teacher? That, did you come to fox us? You've given some, you haven't given all. So we've got to, as governments, as politicians, as those who are seeking higher office, you need to be truthful in what you say. Yeah, it might not be palatable for you. However, the people appreciate it if you said things that you know you can do. A lot of things have been said on political platforms, including the president himself, that hasn't been able to do.
Like 110 premium?
Oh, like changing Odo into the tourist center of Accra. Like, what do you call it? Making Accra the latest city. Yeah, quite a lot of things have been said on political platforms. But you see, the challenge here too, Serwaa, is us, the people. We like to hear those things. We like to hear it. We like to hear the police say, and when they don't do it, what happens? We leave them. But we are moving into a trajectory, especially with the youth of today. They don't have time to wait. And if you promise them, they expect you to be able to fulfill the promise.
We have 70% plus.
You know?
Imani,
please allow him to
George,
to finish.
1.9 million people don't have employment. You came in, you promised employment.
That's even better.
Promised employment.
It's more than that.
You know?
It was more than that.
In terms of one district, one factory. Yes, you put some factories in place. Has it really dented the economy? No, it hasn't. Imports. Needed to cut imports. Has it dented the economy? No, it hasn't. So we've got to be mindful what we say. And if the vice president said they're going to put in a credit for high purchase, I think it's going to be a very difficult thing because you haven't really been able to get the sectors of the economy that would facilitate this in place. So we're going into an election. Whatever those standing for high office say will be tested. And this time, there will be no honeymoon anywhere. Because of the situation we find ourselves in today, nobody will expect any honeymoon from anywhere.
Thank you.
Just like the British. That's the British government. The moment Labour took over, they were running. And that is what would be expected. The next president who comes in, be it MPP, be it NDC, be it
yourself,
Chamating, be it I haven't said I'm standing. Be it any of them, Ghanaians would expect 1st January things start moving. It's going to be difficult. No two ways about it. It's going to be very difficult because of the kind of payments and debts we are saddled with. The next president who comes in should be able, as much as possible, to structure the economy in such a way that the impact is not felt the way it is felt. But I find it difficult, to realize, especially where agriculture is concerned. Any president who comes in, that is the first point of call. Agriculture, bring the food inflation down. Transportation, bring the cost of transportation down. Fuel, look to more local production, bring it down. Some of these things need to be put in place, and it should be monitored like nobody's business. But this is where the media too have a huge responsibility going forward huge responsibility. You've got to be able to ask the piercing questions to whoever is going to be the next president. Because really, if we cannot make sure that between now and 2028, we get this economy at least back on its feet, then going in after 2028 is going to be a huge challenge for us.
Okay, I'm coming back to you because, I mean, at this point, Mr. Janta was just saying earlier the problems that the youth of Ghana are going through and facing. Is this what we need now?
Like what?
This kind of promise.
Why not? Why not? Making the environment flexible and access to credit and all that. It's
so
a
they
good,
can buy
it's a
phones
good policy.
for 1 cedi, 2
and
cedi.
Other things. It's been there. These things are there in the system. As lawyer said, that the MTN is even practicing these things. And the flag bearer of the MPP, His Excellency Dr. Bawumia, said they are going to work in partnership with the telcos, and which is forward-looking, because they are going to roll these out. And I disagree with my brother, Honorable Osman Ayariga, on the issue that only salaries. I disagree. Your cash flow as a business person, your transaction models in the banks and co can merit you to have access to credit cards. Okay, you don't necessarily need to be a salaried worker. Okay, so that is good. If you earn some consistent, yes, but you said salary, and I disagree with you. Don't worry. So yes, people earn income in various ways. We have artisans and co who are not on salaries. You get it? So once there's a cash flow and you're dealing with the banks, you qualify, and that is important. And he cannot discount the significance. I'm grateful to Counsel, Senior Counsel Gentua, that the identification system is a sine qua non. It's a matter of course. Okay? So that is what engenders confidence in the financial environment, that we can deal with these individuals to go. And Council also said something about the effect or the impact on the, let me read something about the presentation by Dr. Bawumia, the last agriculture growth. Permit me, we have made a lot of progress in agriculture, even though there is more to be done. Rice imports, for example, have declined. What
document do you have?
That's the Bawumia presentation on the 7th of February.
Okay.
Yeah, 2024. His vision to the Ghanaian people. But he recounted achievements before telling us his vision.
Are these his achievements?
Yeah, this government achievements.
Okay.
Government achievement. Okay, so in the agriculture sector.
As you speak to the achievements, speak about the problems as well.
Of course, of course. That's why I'm here. So if once you bring it up, my duty is to...
He runs away from the problems. But no, runs away from the problems.
No, that's why you are here. That's why he's here. You see, in political communications, it's my duty to talk about the positives and the good, hopeful ones to the Ghanaian people. He is here to also look at the other side. So permit me to read. Yes, thank you very much, Serwaa. We have made a lot of progress in agriculture, even though there is more to be done. Rice imports, for example, have declined by 45%. Emphasis, 45%, from 805,000 metric tons to 440,000 metric tons between 2021 and 2023. Okay? The deliberate policies by governments, and of course, this government is put, understand, about 3 million points across the country to help rice farmers to do their billing and all that, so that the consumption, the taste for the Ghanaian rice is also gone up. I must commend Coconut Grove and Co. They serve local rice in their hotels and all that. And so, and a lot of Ghanaians are beginning to patronize the local rice. That is good. And it's half the imported rice by almost half. 45% is almost half. So these are policies that we put in place to push that up. The 1.9 people not educated, unemployed, never gotten any training and all that. it's worrying, but government is putting in measures to get us forward, because it's even good, because if you look at this relative to the unemployment figures that my brother was talking about, which I disagree with, because Professor Eni and Ghana Statistical Survey, it was Q3, quarter 3 of 2023, which is 14.7. End year figure will be low. It is the aggregation of the Q1, Q2, Q3, Q4 to determine end year unemployment figure. And I heard Professor Sapon say unemployment is going to hover around 9% thereabout. Okay? If one quarter, as we speak, first quarter growth of this government this year was 4.7%. We projected 3.1. But it doesn't mean end of year growth is going to be 4%, 4.7. No. You must get Q2, Q3, and then Q4 to determine end year growth. That is how it's done, and he knows it. So these are matters that we need to look at. So some of these promises, as I said, which is being corroborated by the learned Gentua, that it is euphemistic statement. It's good, and you know, yes, once you take it, some people, your opponents will definitely take the literal meaning. You cannot fault them, but it is your duty as a government communicator myself to be able to explain it to the understanding of the Ghanaian people. And that is the way we'll be going forward. The promises, free SHS was said, they did adverts and were against it. They said it's not feasible, it cannot be done. How on earth can somebody who claimed he started a policy and yet campaigns against it and says a desperate politician is making a promise? Today, he is associating with it because of this tremendous... I understand the NDC did a survey. And in the survey, they were told that the most popular policy is the free SHS. If they want to associate with it, okay? Today, Bawumia is talking about a credit platform to support the ordinary person. They say it's not, okay? It's a hoopla, whatever. When it succeeds, he's going to win. Breaking the 8 is possible. Bawumia is going to win. When he wins and he implements it, they will say it is their policy. Okay? Because it's going to be so popular with the ordinary people who will be having, because today, the Gen Zs, they are all over the internet, right? And so anything that will advance their cause. Now they are angry a little about data, MTN data, and the cost of data and all that, because every day people are on the internet and they need data to be. So if you have an environment that is going to be conducive for young people, the technological drive and all that, and Bawumia is championing the digitalization drive, okay? Yes, we promised the teacher. We've given some of them. I listened this morning to your sister station saying about 50,000 teachers are claiming they've not gotten their laptops. It's true, okay? It is, we are releasing them gradually. We've contracted a company that is producing them and bringing them as and when. Okay, so as we go, 50,000, we've delivered more, about 50,000 or let's say 17,000 yet to be delivered. It can be delivered. We have about 4 months to the next election or end of year. They can get it. Okay, this government is giving professional development allowance to every Ghanaian teacher. It wasn't there. Okay? Besides restoring the allowances for teacher trainees and nurse trainees and co, every teacher has professional development allowance, which is being increased by about 70% this year. Okay? So these are things that is going to be given every year. Is paid in November. Okay? This year we are looking at the teacher getting about 2,000 or so in November for professional development.
Really?
Yes. That is what is given every year. Since I think in Napo's time, so every year 1,200 is paid
for
to
personal
the teacher.
development.
Yeah, professional development. Yeah, so
okay, I need the teachers
in-service training and all that. Yes, every November every teacher takes it 1,200. This year is going to go to 2,000. About 70% increment.
Mr. Janta, did you know about this?
I didn't know about it, but sir, why isn't it ironic?
But it is there.
You don't pay them, but you are giving them 1,200 for professional development.
It is one
they pay. Every teacher gets. Last year we increased salary by 30%. This year, first quarter 23%, second quarter, sorry, first half 23%, second half all workers 25%. It's there. Okay, ask any teacher. 1,200 per year from Napo's time. Okay, every November, every teacher gets that professional, and this laptop payment, you know, government says the teacher must pay a certain percentage. It's coming from that allowance. Okay, that's what it is. And then you yourself should do some intensive courses and all that and pay for it from that. So that when you're going for promotion, interview and examination, they are factored in.
But CTAG is on strike right now.
Yes.
Why?
Well, they say their terms and conditions of service, have not been met. Okay.
But you give them 1,200 for professional
development. Every teacher, every teacher.
I really need the teachers watching
they pay them. These are facts. I'm not concocting anything.
With all that,
this year to go to 2,000.
With all that George is saying.
Yeah. There's a government that cares for the
Mr. Janto, can you hold that thought? I need to take a quick break, if that's okay. So stay with me. I'll be back with more shortly. You're welcome back to the show. This is GH Today. I'm Serwaa Amihere. If you just tuned in, we've been talking, well, we've already discussed the expectations of the media budget review. We've been talking about the latest promise by the flag bearer for the NPP and Vice President, Dr. Alhaji Mahmoud Bawumia, who says that there's going to be some credit scoring scheme which allows you and I be able to buy phones on some credit basis and pay 1 CD, 2 CD, 1 CD, 2 CD monthly. But George says that it is euphemism, and so it doesn't. It doesn't particularly or necessarily mean that it's going to be exactly 1 CD or 2 CD. Anyway, let me quickly do this, and then we can continue with the conversation. Okay, for 15 years, Quick Credit has been your trusted partner in micro-lending, empowering lives and making dreams a reality. Today, we're excited to announce a new age. Quick Credit is now Bill's microcredit, still committed to serving Ghanaians and changing lives. Bills is here to show you that everything is possible. Join us as we embrace a brighter future. Bills, financing your needs. And I'm here with Mr. Kwame Jantua Esquire. He's a member of the CPP. Osman Ayariga Esquire is a Deputy National Youth Organizer of the NDC. And George AEC is the Director of Communications for NADMO. Mr. Jantua, before we took the break, you were saying something.
Yes, I was saying, with all the things George has said about the education system that they're doing, he then asks the question, why is Ghana's education system still failing us? And the senior advisor, presidential advisor to the president, Osafo Mafo, has asked this question. So you can be doing all this, you can be paying teachers X, Y, Z. The crux of the matter is it helping in terms of solving problems? And I don't think it is. For me, that is where the issue is. Teachers can be satisfied. Teachers can be paid whatever money they are looking for. If the pupils coming out, the students coming out, aren't able to solve the country's problems, then did we go or did we come? So, in as much as we talk education, in as much as we look at the education system, the content of it is what matters. And I don't think we've been able to get that content right. Because today, when you compare, and let me ask you, how many politicians have their children in the local schools?
A lot.
Do you? Do you? Do you? Yeah. In the, are you sure, George? We are not talking about that. We're not talking about that.
He knows what you mean.
Yes, he knows what I mean. Yeah, and if it's good, wouldn't we send our children there?
Okay.
You know? And that's the situation. Look, don't let us skim the surface. Let's go deep into the sea and see exactly what we can do to turn this educational system around. And this is where some of us say that, look, it is not a one-party idea. It is a national discussion we all need to have because it's affecting the next generation. Very soon, some of us will be out of service, out of coverage area. When we are out of service and out of coverage area, some people have to take our place. Just like the Supreme Court issues. Some judges are going off, some judges need to replace them. It's life. But the quality and the content of it is what matters. So in as much as the MP say, we brought free education, fine.
We've changed the curriculum.
Fine. But is the curriculum you brought in helping to solve government problems or problems of the country? And Honorable Yosafo Mafo has hit the nail on the head. Our education system is not able to help us solve the issues. Let's ask the question, why?
That's why we've changed it.
Why? Why?
You want to have a bite on it quickly so that we can move on?
I think I just wanted to react to a few things he said. You would realize that this 1 cedi, 2 cedi promise for phones is another desperate promise from Bawumia just to lure voters to vote for him. We have seen and heard all their desperate promises. And this time around, Ghanaians are wide awake. Ghanaians are wise. Ghanaians are able to decipher truth from lies. They are able to decipher what is a realistic promise from what is an unrealistic promise. He decided to talk about the achievements so far as, agriculture is concerned. I think if you want to talk about the achievements or your achievement, the last place you should even tackle is agriculture. What didn't we see? You spoke about planting for food and jobs, which ended up being a total fiasco. If we talk about inflation, the corporate that has the highest form of inflation is food inflation. And when we were asked, and when we Ghanaians asked about the food inflation and what the minister was doing about it, what did he tell us or what did he do? He decided to set up a market at the car park of the Ministry of Food and Agriculture. That was his remedy for the food inflation. So the government has failed in all aspects. It has failed in every sector of the economy. It has failed in every sector of governance. And we do not even want to go into the issues of corruption and looting and issue of wastage, etc., etc. The government has failed colossally, and the Ghanaians are wide awake. We know what this government has done. We know what they can do, and we know what they are capable of doing. And that is why Ghanaians believe in the promises of John Dramani Mahama, and Ghanaians believe that this time around they want to join the NDC to build the Ghana that we all want to live in. And that is what we keep telling the Ghanaians, and they believe in the game changer, in the 24-hour economy, to reboot this country, reboot this economy, bring it back to life, give young people like myself and young people out there, the 1.9 million youth who do not have jobs, give them jobs, give them a source of living, give them hope, and give meaning to their lives, and not what this incompetent, corrupt, inept government has given to the people of this country. That is what we are experiencing. So not promises, not lies of one phone, one Ghana will save them this time around. Ghanaians know their lives. Ghanaians know what they are capable of doing. Ghanaians are tired.
So I read something and I related it to a specific area. I thought he was going to dispute that. No. Okay, he's talking desperate. If I were him, I will avoid the word desperate. It should be an anathema to any NDC person, because His Excellency John Dramani Mahama said, desperate politician looking for vote is promising free SHS. And now it is the policy he's trying to associate himself with and say he started it. I would have avoided that. And we have rolled out a lot of policies that have had positive impact on the Ghanaian people. And the Ghanaian is aware. Follow Bawumia's campaign in the northern sector. Follow Napo's campaign in the middle belt. And then you will see what it is. So we are not perturbed at all. Research, surveys, and co, we accept them. We are working extra hard, and definitely come December 7th, Ghanaians will make a pronouncement.
All right, let's move on and talk about K.T. Hammond and his ongoing, for the want of a better word, trouble.
Saga,
yeah, better describes it, with the cement manufacturers over the new airline. So there was supposed to be a meeting. Why are you all laughing? There was supposed to be a meeting.
The problem is that this government has made communication difficult for them.
There was supposed to be, hold on, there was supposed to be a meeting. And this meeting, according to K.T. Hammond, in the video that we have all seen, was supposed to be with the Ghana Chamber of Construction Industry. And then he goes there and he sees Cement Manufacturers Association and he says, leave or I leave. And you know, I can imagine Katie Hammond in his element, you know, at that meeting. But why can't we find a solution to so that both parties are satisfied? George.
Yeah, thank you. Fortunately, I watched that video, and I thought it's about time we call a spade a spade. KT Hammond has had engagement with the manufacturers. And even before that, I think he called them on several occasions and they were not going till he finally got that meeting with them. And then there's the people who use cement for their business. I don't know the name you gave their name again.
Chamber of Construction.
Chamber of Construction, yes. They requested a meeting with the minister. And they didn't tell him. That's one thing that we should put on record. They didn't tell him the people that are coming. Unless, of course, you tell me that the cement manufacturers are part of the Chamber of Construction, whatever. But they are, from my understanding of the name, they are not part of it. So they were invited to be part of that name. It makes sense for them to be there. But properly, protocol followed. The minister should have been informed that these people are going to be part of the meeting. So that when he's coming, you know, there was a cabinet retreat. He was supposed to be there. He requested time from the president to be at this meeting so that he would join cabinet a bit late. And the president granted that, only for him to get there and he realizes the people he was going to meet are not the people. Serwaa, that definitely was going to change the agenda. It definitely was going to change whatever discussions they were going to have, because the producers were going to bring their issues on the table. He was there to meet those who use the end product users. That is what he was going to meet. So he decided he wasn't going to allow them to be in the. I thought personally, if he had, you know, allowed it, you know, because it wouldn't have destroyed it. Even though the agenda would change, the time span would have been extended and all that. But he felt, no, I have met you. Whatever discussions we had, we have finished with that. Let me meet these people and let me know what their issues are. Then we can marry the two and see how this can inform the bill in Parliament. You get it? So that a decision will be taken going forward. That is it. But I think it's time we begin to do things the proper way. And I think KT Hammond is shown as the way.
Which is refusing to meet people because
you are not part of the bill. You are not part of the meeting. I'm here to meet X people.
The meeting,
you get it?
The meeting is about the ally.
Yes.
To regulate the
prices. Yes, he has met the producers, manufacturers. He has met them. And now he's meeting the construction
But what
people.
would it take away if he had just
It's going to change the time, duration, because the engagement is going to be prolonged. And he has taken permission for a limited time. So we have discussed yours already. We have discussed.
Is that what you do? Do you really stick to the time that you are given to attend to?
Yes, why not? There's a cabinet minister and there's a cabinet retreat. He was there to make input, especially bills on this manufacturing and co. Though he's gone to a cabinet to explain it, what is the status now? He has to go and brief cabinet on that. But the president has given him time to meet these manufacturers, the construction people, then we go. So I think it's about time we begin to do things in the proper way. If you are not built to be there, you don't have to be there. Respect that. He has met you. What are you bringing back for discussions? You get it? Go, when he meets the construction people, then they marry the two and go. But you say, well, I don't know whether you've watched a certain women organizer who went to a program and said somebody was being left here and she cannot be at the program and walked off the set. You get it? That is completely different. Katie says, I'm sitting. But these people
also have
met
seen
them
the video
already.
of the former minister who said that she wasn't going to let a reporter interview her. So then it cuts
I've
across.
not seen that video.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Mr. Janswa, you saw that, you heard about that, didn't you?
Who was that
I've seen
former
both
minister?
videos.
Okay.
Who was that former minister? You can help me.
You don't know
You didn't
who
mention the person
there's
there,
other person's name, but I should mention this person's name. No problem.
Thank you. Okay, former minister could be, 1992, could be anyone.
Ms. Ayariga.
We've also seen a certain arrogant running mate who sacks people who want to come and hug him even in public. So we've all seen things. But
I've not seen that.
you've not seen that. Okay, I think people have seen that. They've seen a certain arrogant running mate who even in public, when people are trying to hug him out of joy, they decide to sack him. We've seen some arrogant running mates who have been advised by chiefs. Only in one party, the running mate is advised by a chief, the flag bearer too is advised by another chief to be respectful and humble in their style. So if you want us to go into
humble,
if you want us to go into those areas, we can go into those areas and we will end up in different directions. But the most importantly, and I've been saying it since morning, today my friend AEC's job is so difficult that he keeps going round and round and round and round without actually tackling the issues. And he speaks very well. He will slang all the slangs and go around, but still he's not hitting the point and saying the right thing. What are we talking about? We're talking about prices of cement. Serwaa, if you have an incompetent vice president as head of economic management team, the prices of cement and food will expose you. And that is what we are going through. Why do we even need this airline? It's because of the prices of cement. So in 2016, a bag of cement was 29 cedis.
Up to 33 cedis. 29
cedis. A bag of cement in 2016 was 29 cedis. And this same MPP said that was unacceptable. Today, a price of cement is 108 cedis. Yes. And you think that is acceptable? That is unacceptable. So not only cement, iron rods. A ton of iron rods in 2016 was 2,800 cedis. 2,800 cedis. Today, a ton of the same iron rods, nothing has changed. The weight hasn't changed. Nothing. It's the same 1 ton. It's 9,000 Ghana cedis. 9,000 Ghana cedis. We talk about cables. Cables that was being sold for 73 cedis today.
It's not a GHOne meeting.
I'm coming. I'm building the point. Why you want to be patient when you're speaking? I was quiet. Please, let's be civil. Iron rods, cables that used to sell at 632 cedis. Today, it's being sold at 3,695 cedis. This is the kind of situation, this is the inflation that we are faced with. Under no circumstance should we be buying cement at 108 Ghana cedis. But the most important thing is, let's ask ourselves, what constitutes the price, or what is informing the prices of cement to shoot up to 108 Ghana cedis? The raw material for the manufacturing of cement, clinker, is being imported. It's not manufactured in Ghana here. What they just do in Ghana is the crushing and the bagging. So clinker is being imported, it's being bought in dollars, it's not bought in cedis. So if your vice president, head of economic management team, is unable to stabilize the currency and it keeps going up, the price of cement will automatically go up. Aside from the prices of clinker, the tax buildup, do you know there are about 22 tax components just on the raw material clinker that are being imposed by government? So you realize that government in itself, due to its inability to manage this economy, is what has led us or landed us into the current price of cement of being 108 Ghana cedis. So if you turn around and want to play the PR gimmick that you want to reduce the prices of cement, but it is the manufacturers who do not want to reduce the price of cement, then you are just playing politics with us. What GHOne and the MPP needs to do is to make sure that the exchange rate of $1 to 16 cedis is reduced. If that is reduced, of course, automatically, manufacturers, due to the competitive nature of the market, will automatically reduce the prices of cement. That is how it's going to work. That is how a free market operates. You don't need an ally to force people to reduce the prices of cement. You don't need that. I feel it, that you have to buy cement at 108 Ghana. It is unacceptable. It is wicked that citizens, ordinary citizens, poor citizens like us, need to buy cement at such exorbitant prices. So, with the issue of GHOne, this is not the crust of the matter. For GHOne not attending the meeting, going for the meeting, those are just red herrings, but that is not the crux of the matter. The matter is, how do we reduce the prices of cement? To reduce the prices of cement, what is government's action? What is government's responsibility in reducing the price of cement? Just go and stabilize the currency, and that will help us.
What was the LI seeking to do?
The LI was seeking to control the prices and reduce the prices of cement.
And so isn't government taking a step?
No, you do not need an ally. You do not need an ally to force cement manufacturers to reduce the prices of cement. And I've told you, what you need is a stable economy. What you need is to reduce the exchange rates and to make your currency stable. That is exactly what you need. But I explained to you that they import clinker, and that is in dollars. So if the cement manufacturer does his computation and realizes that at the end of the day, I need to manufacture not to make a loss. I am not an NGO.
But at least if they are regulated, then, you know, they will be measured by the amounts by which they increase it. Because we have seen, yes, times are hard, but we've also seen people who try to make outrageous profits on things, and it is not the fault of government, or government does not ask them to increase prices like that. You would agree with me?
Yes, I agree with you.
So then some would argue that the allies to regulate the prices, but the minority doesn't want the ally to be late. Why? Do you want the prices of cement to reduce, or you want it to continue going up?
No, we can never say we want the prices of
cement to go up. So why are you blocking the lane of the ally?
You see, the danger which you may envisage, which we are all not looking at, is that if you force most of these manufacturing companies to reduce the prices, and you're not looking at your own responsibility of producing or securing an enabling economic environment for the prices to automatically go down, then if you're not careful, you'll go into the issues of the quality of the product they're going to produce for you. That is also another issue we need to look at. You see, it's a difference between...
It's all in the LI.
No, but I mean, manufacturing companies, you cannot force them to reduce the prices and also force them at the same time in terms of quality. You may think they are meeting the standards, but if you're not careful, they'll start reducing the quality, and that will affect our buildings. So you need to understand that in such a free market economy, you do not need an ally to force manufacturing companies, because we have so many cement manufacturing companies, and if you allow the market to freely operate, automatically prices would go down. You will not need an ally to force cement manufacturing companies to reduce their price. Right now we have over 10 different manufacturing companies bargain, some are also importing. If you are able to provide a conducive environment, even the competition amongst them will automatically reduce the prices of cement. That is how the free market works. You don't need an ally to force people to reduce prices. When you yourself as government, what have you done so far to help reduce the prices? There are over 22 tax components. Have you thought of actually reducing the tax components or actually removing some of them? You haven't. Have you thought of even your own currency? How you are going to stabilize your currency? You haven't. You have been irresponsible. You have been unable to manage your side of the bargain. And you think that some other people should be stifled through an ally to reduce the prices of cement. We are not against the reduction of the prices of cement, but it should be done in a proper way that the market would automatically let the prices of cement go down by virtue of the market competition. That is how you work, and not by letting it look like you want to reduce the price of cement, but it is the manufacturing companies that do not want to reduce the price of cement. We also need to speak, as we speak for the citizens, we also need to speak for the cement manufacturing companies, because they are also citizens, and they also need to understand and be spoken for. That is what we're talking about.
Mr. Tantua.
We'll give you data on exchange rate depreciation.
I'll try and answer your question in 3 ways. First, Minister Hammond has indicated that and has clarified that the LI would not dictate prices, but instead promote transparency. Transparency in which way? I haven't read the LI, so maybe what he talks about transparency is in the LI. But Serwaa, second bit, let's analyze the price build-up of cement. And it reveals that a significant portion of the cost is driven by factors beyond the manufacturer's direct control. First, according to the association, this is from their website, raw materials account for 33 cedis per bag. The price of imported clinker, gypsum, and other materials are driven by global market forces and are paid for in US dollars. This exposes the manufacturers to the volatility of international commodity prices and exchange rate fluctuations. Government taxes, duties, and levies add up to around 22 cedis per bag. In the case of duties, these are also paid in US dollars, further increasing the manufacturer's exposure to foreign exchange risk. Production costs make up about 12 cedis per bag. The cost of electricity and fuel, which are used to grind cement, dominate these costs. These have been subject to local inflationary pressures, which have been steadily rising in recent years. Interest payments, depreciation of the cedi, forex losses, and manufacturer net profit contribute to 8 cedis per bag. These costs stem from the financial expenses associated with the plant, the depreciation of the Ghana cedi, and the manufacturer's profit margins. Finally, distribution costs amount to roughly 5 cedis per bag in Accra. These costs cover the transportation of cement from the factory to a distributor and or retailer, as well as the distribution channels, overheads, and margins. So, Serwaa, with all this, is it the pricing we should be looking at?
Yes.
I think the conversation should be, can we manufacture these raw materials in Ghana? Is it possible? It is possible. It is very possible. Clinker, what do you get clinker out of? Bauxite and manganese. All the attributes, gypsum we have here, all the attributes we have here to manufacture clinker. Shouldn't the discussion go down that line if we want to cut cost? And then look at some of the issues that create a price per bag and see how best we drop it down. This kind of altercation between the minister, the manufacturers, and the association doesn't help anybody. I think the president should have called all parties, said, guys, this kind of touch and hit does not work. Let's sit and discuss the details of what it takes to manufacture one bag of cement. And let's move on, because it's for the future. After houses, it is not a right to, it is not a privilege. It's a right for people to sleep in houses. And so people will always build houses, but it has to be affordable. And so because of that, let's look at this entire thing. Cabinet should come in. Association should come in. People like the AGI should come in. Let's all sit around the table and see how we attack this. Because this cobra is not helping anybody. So the minister goes to a meeting. He sees the, what do you call it, people there? It's a tit for tat. Because they did it to him. They called for a meeting. They didn't turn up. So he's taking revenge. No, it won't help. It is Ghana we are talking about. It's not individual. It is Ghana we are talking about. So if we can do something about it, where we can manufacture cement in this country, let's do it. If there are alternatives to cement, let's also look at it, because CSIR have come up with so many beautiful ways of building our buildings. Let's take the climate in consideration. So it needs a whole entire discussion that would now situate it in a certain area that we can move forward with. This Cobra, for me, it doesn't help us.
So Apia is the Minister for Housing is having plans to replicate that model across some of the districts. You know, the kind of housing they get today. The president is commissioning about 320 housing units at Tesano for the police. Today is going to be commissioned and co. And you know, yes, I touched on the conduct of the minister vis-a-vis the manufacturers and construction and co. My brother went into details, and yes, exchange rates cannot be discounted. But with the figures he mentioned...
Hold on for me. Let's quickly listen to the minister. Let's listen to him in Parliament.
Taxes. Aya na cedi ni dollar no and then obi any Ghana ha onnim sa nneoma we say Nti maximum American nyina very simple. Me say Moma mo price build up no. Ni enti a mo de ye 120, mo de ye 130, mo de ye 100 no. Moma ye nhunu mu. Na mo hu mu a report na mo de bebre mo tax build up no. Mo me ye hwe dollar no ni cedi no. Se de city no. Mo ntwero me ye hwe. Mo wi a taxes dodo na wa Ghana ha na mo ka ho asem no. Mo ntwero me ye hwe. Obi enim say ukoye say nyuma we sia utua se be nipa ka na omo ye adwuma labor cost all related costs utilities mo fa nyina enka ho but mo publish na yenhwe we ye ka we na entokwa mo ntie ne America no sa na se me pese mo ye no ye nyina ehu na committee no omo hwem no msampa ayi no cedi ne dollar say omo import we omo ye say nti wo hwe na omo margin na da so no ayi reasonable obi anti ne ba bi Enti amrana ye ka ho aye ntokwa sisi no anyway say all right ye de ba ye na cement manufacturing for no mo wura fi say mo ne me committee for mo ahia me ye report abre me ya say ye hia mo na sa asem we ba mo pese mo ba pre me aka say mo say man hia mo de report aba parliament mo de bia koma ba bia o mbekwa o ma chine Ghana ha nyina o mo kwetre betre ye de me report bi wa ha ye me say mate mo me ye nhia na fe ni amopesa mo ka no mo nka na mentie say report yina me ye lord na me ye na nya na papa na mo obibi a mo ka na ye a mo ntie mo nka metie enya asem ni nyina ni enti me frɛ mo ko wafo ye amza mo mu bi na mo wo ho say mo mra na mo ba mo su mo ba hu say ya trase ya ye ka ho asem obi ka se man hia o mo madanze fo de Ghana fo nyina because mo nyina mo ho bi enti mo mra Cement Manufacturing Association fo yi o mbetna me office wo Memeti conference room na ye hia ho no ma kwatena me da na soro ho no fourth floor no mo te ho na da omo ma be omo so omo ma are India omo abadam ha say ane but omo ma metena da mu ade omo so omo ma ade camera for no omo ha nti omo so omo pese obi na da na ye di adaguga ya nti omo pese obi be hu gruma ye we bibia nka na yesi obi aso da na omo pese omo de obi be hu ni ye you know mo ma me ame nkwada me no omo nkokasa me fro steps no call me soro ho ko bi sa omo say dey na ekoso omo say camera for nam si da bi se mo pese mo no mbaka kude asema mate camera no omo ba betna ho na ye start na obi ahun say ya introduction introductory remarks ye say ye nhia ye enna mo ahun say ye nyina ye hia ye ba gwenwini we say hu enti no omo wi a omo be sori akọ enti mo me enko omo say da bi wo de kọ na ne opese okoka kire camera for ko ka kire wo mo wahu adibi wa ya na wanya abotre kakra ageti ya boy bi bo all right be near dey me say but asem wo so ne edidi mi amoso ya monhwe say asem ne edidi papa de nyefe.
So would you then say that it was fair that he refused to meet them, Mr. Ayariga? Would you say that it was fair?
Well, I mean,
after listening to him, and we apologize that it's in Chi, but we want to believe that the majority of you understand what he said. Basically, laying out, you know, I don't want to say the processes, but what led to he refusing to meet with them because there was supposed to be a prior meeting which they refused to meet with him for whatever reason. They didn't want the cameras there. But he has a very good question. What is so secret about what they're going to discuss that they don't need cameramen there? Anyway, would you then agree that it was fair that he refused to meet with them?
Well, I mean, as a public officer and being paid by the taxpayers' money, I think that he should have exercised some patience and, you know, some level of maturity. If you think or believe that the other side of the table, which you are to negotiate with, haven't exhibited some respect or maturity, that is why you are a public officer. So I think he could have gone beyond being, I don't want to use the word emotional or trying to be strict, but he could have gone just beyond what he did and I agreed to meet them. I don't think it would have taken anything away from him because as a public officer, you're supposed to exercise some level of maturity, some level of patience. You're supposed to be the one to bring decorum to whatever space you find yourself. That is, it's not for anything that you're a public officer and you're accountable to the people, and it's the people that put you there. As a public officer, you encounter all kinds of people. It is in your place to exercise maturity And that is what I have to say as far as that meeting was concerned. I do not support.
So he wasn't mature.
I don't want to use that, but I think he could have exercised more maturity. Yes, because I mean, I'm not saying he's immature. I mean, don't take words in a different way. What I'm just saying is that as a public officer,
he should have still met with them.
He should have still met with them. Wouldn't have taken anything away from him. Yeah.
Mr. Janswa, would you say that it was fair that he didn't meet them?
It's his right.
Right.
If he feels uncomfortable with them around, it's his right to say, I don't want to meet with them. I didn't come here because of that. I came here because of something else. It's his right.
But as a public officer?
If you go somewhere and you meet somebody you didn't expect to meet there, definitely you say, what's this person doing here?
Yeah,
I didn't come here.
I am not a public officer. Well, there's no cement price hike.
Hey, you're not a public officer. He's a public officer. He's met with them, hasn't he?
Yeah.
The videos told us he's met with them. They went to sit upstairs in his, what do you call it? He had to climb up there. He had to tell them. They still insisted because of camera people, we are not going to come. So what else do you want him to do? He's come to me. Is that why they're coming to discuss it? When he was coming, did they tell him that when you come and meet these people too here? I don't know what they were going to discuss. Was it on this cement thing? If it was on this cement, if it was a cement thing, then they should have told him that the association would also be here. Yeah. And if they'll be here, then who'll decide? But they wanted him to get there and surreptitiously bring the people in. I don't think, if I were a minister, if I were a minister, I would ask the question, so what are they doing here? And he felt uncomfortable with them being there, and that was the decision.
He didn't prepare for them.
We can't blame him for it.
Okay.
Public officer or no public officer.
Right. I'll give you the 30 seconds, please.
Oh, 30, yes, thank you. I think I'm happy you played this video, and Katie Hammond down to earth, and the transparency angle. You know, when council read the cost build-up, you realize that it was nowhere even near the 108. You get it? So is it the profit margin or there are other things? That's why I say let's sit down and look at that. Once we are okay with it, it happens. So we go to the president. We meet, the media is there. After some time, the president will ask the media to leave us, and then we engage him. You get it? It happens. So I don't see why they were having challenges with that. But I'm happy this explanation is being put there. It's the transparency angle, and then we're able to determine the margin of profits that people want to make on a bag of cement. So that is important. And he said it, that put it down, exchange rate depreciation, what is its component in the price build-up? The taxes, what are the components? Then let's openly discuss it, and then if we can do something about it. He is the member of parliament, he's sending it to parliament. So when you make your inputs and you convince him, he can put it before the August House, and they will discuss it and then make adjustment. And the other aspect that Councillor Ayariga was worried about, it's been taken care of. The Professor Dodu and his team, Ghana Standards Authority, are there. So there's no way they can compromise on the quality, because there'll be continuous monitoring of that. So that is not the issue at all. These are issues that we need to look at. Okay, that's very important. Last one, Serwaa, on the exchange rate depreciations and code. It's very important, yes. I have said it. When Professor Mose took over, $1 was 1 CD 20 pesos. By the time he ended, it was 1 CD 91 pesos, 37% depreciation. When JM took over, 1 CD 91 to 5 CDs 68% pesos. It was 55%. To 4 CDs 20 pesos, 55% depreciation. When another took over, 4 CDs 20 pesos to 5 CDs 68 pesos, it was 26% depreciation. And then this term, second term, from 5 CDs 68 pesos to 15 CDs 70 pesos, it's 64%. All the earlier ones were without exogenous factors. This one is laden with exogenous factors. Okay, the global crisis and all that, but it's 64%. So the management is not
been the challenge.
But
it's
George,
difficult,
but
it's been good. You get it? So these are matters that we need to be looking at. Somebody without exogenous factors, depreciation was 55%.
Mr.
Under JM.
10 seconds.
The question I wanted to ask him, before these exogenous factors came in, it was still increasing.
No.
Okay.
So it goes to show. It goes to show.
I've given you the rates.
It goes
26%.
to show that. It goes to show that there's a fundamental
Of
problem.
course. No. Once you import,
that we need to sort out.
Yes,
it is something we need to sort out. Let's stop the politics.
The structure of the
exactly.
economy.
That is where we need to go.
That's why we are doing
10
1D1
seconds.
FM and all that.
Mr. Isi should stop this
Data
analysis.
is important.
Mr. Isi, if I were you, I'll stop this analysis and this argument about exchange rates. Because you see, Mr. Isi wants us to believe, as Ghanaians, that someone who managed the currency from $1 to 1 cedi to $1 to 4 cedis did a bad job compared to someone who took $1 4 cedis to $1 16 cedis. That is the analysis Mr. AC wants us to believe.
Yes,
that the
rate of
person who
depreciation.
took the exchange
how
rate
we do
from
it.
4 cedis to 16 cedis has done a better job.
I'm not
than someone who
inventing it,
left it
Serwaa.
at 4 cedis. That is the analysis he
It is
wants
the
us to do.
rates.
This is the most preposterous analysis
Preposterous.
I've ever
Then
seen.
go tell World Bank and
I'm
IMF.
telling you that. So you want the market woman to believe that you have been better, you have managed this currency better.
I'm a mathematician, and I will use the rates. That's how it is done. That is how it is done.
With the issue of cement, with the issue of the airline and cement prices, you see, if you are not careful and you are pushing for the airline, if you do not manage this economy well, and you are being exposed by the prices of goods and services, then very soon, after the cement manufacturers airline, I'm sure very soon we'll go into iron rods, then we'll go into maize production, then we'll go to onion sellers, we'll go into tomato sellers, and look for airlines to control all those prices. Yes, because all you need to do is to give us a conducive
He has made a good point,
All right,
and you couldn't get anything against him.
Thank you very much.
You want your propaganda.
Thank you.
God bless KT.
Thank you. Mr. Kwame Janswa is a member of the CPP, private legal practitioner. George A.C. is Director of Communications for NATMO. And
welcome back to the show. This is still GH Today here on GHOne TV. So today the Finance Minister will present the mid-year budget review to Parliament. There are a lot of expectations from people and other people too are simply indifferent about it, especially looking at the state of the economy. Now, some group of persons who have their funds locked up in some institutions whose licenses were revoked are still asking for their finances. For a number of these institutions, their licenses have been returned to them, but funds have still been locked up. This morning, a number of these persons picketed at the Parliament House to request Parliament to assist them retrieve their monies. Two of them have joined us in studio. My guest this morning is Stanley Yeboah and Roland Texan Sam. They are customers of Legacy Fund Management Limited. Good morning. For the purposes of this interview, we'll go local, we'll speak our local dialect, and I'll try and do some interpretation. That is if I can. But good morning to you.
Good morning.
Okay. But at what point did you invest in Legacy Fund Management? Where did you hear of it from? Let me start with you.
Okay. Legacy, we heard from them at Takwa. We heard that they are advertising that they are doing this fund management thing. So one of the...
How many years ago was this?
7 years. Yes,
7 years ago.
7 years ago.
Okay.
So as we heard from them, we heard it from one of their marketing people. They came in, they told us about their product, and we became interested, and we invested in it.
How much of your funds are locked up?
I invested 100,000.
And how much did you get?
Oh, I've gotten about 50,000.
Okay, so you have 50,000 in there that you need.
Yeah, I need.
Okay. Okay. What of you, sir?
Yeah, 100,000 the same thing.
Okay.
But I've gotten 60,000.
60,000.
Yeah.
So now you are demanding 40,000.
Yes.
When was the 60,000 paid? And at what point did they stop paying you at all?
Okay. I mean, look at 60,000 on the anchor say yes, so ba one chan. Time I the government, 1 month, bibi kakra. Now, what started with 2 hours the men kakanka. Between Ojay Kra, ya push one out there, one for ins come still one farmer hen. It's in yet the government will revoke one. We revoke one in the Ochede or one lances in view. But your one yet the government has to do one lances on back there where the 1 2 years can farm in. Your sure letter they can sick. My sick for or friend or catch in there. Oh, what the one lances are on. Nti dem dia e betimi aden ye won akasa se ekena kasa be mo ka kire nde won ye kasa one on one the won timi yin scam up till now won fi yin scam farm hen
na won ma hon mbere was butu hon scanner
se ekena embre ne de won de bia ye push won o ka kire nde woni ska what would butu ya tem bia e bi se won bia was sec a government won for scam farm hon.
Okay. Now say
the same thing. More kana omuti ane kakanka kraye pusu omu ya chwa koma sec. Say na legacy for no treating.
Okay.
Sec replying. So mama legacy 7 days. I have all those documents there. Some is even on my phone.
Okay.
So I'm almost 7 days. Say omoni embet na phone. Na no mama payment plan
which year was this that SEC told you that they've given them 7 days?
That was last year around September.
And so at what point did you write to SEC? And at what point did you hear from them that they've given them up to 7 days to refund your cash?
Tama na wuntiano. And I yetro koma SEC. Na SEC for also replying. That was last year.
Okay.
Yeah.
So now what do you expect? You went to Parliament to pick it. Why? You want to take that up? Yeah.
We want the government to help us. The finance minister, finance ministry, they should help us so that we can retrieve our money. And yeah, today, what's the case KBM on there? One thing clear them financial first clean up.
Sector cleanup. Yeah.
Yes. Since I what the online sense, what the amount there won't is coming.
But what really has Legacy Fund been telling you? Because if SEC says they are giving them up to a week to pay you, and still no monies have been refunded, what is the fund management itself telling you?
As about what can they say? They say that money is with the receiver, it's with the government. Government releases KBR amount. Into one so needs KBR whatever my.
Last 2 weeks, one of our clients went there, and they told him that he should go and he will be paying for about 1 week. The money will be in his account. He came back and still the money is not in. So the guy came with us. We are about 16 people. They are waiting for us at the office there.
At Parliament?
No. They are at the Legacy office.
Legacy office. Okay.
They are waiting for us there.
Okay.
Yeah.
So from Parliament you go to Legacy. Oh, you've already been to Legacy.
We are at the office there. So after here, you go to the office and you convey them to the Parliament.
And to Parliament.
Yeah.
But who are you seeking to speak to when you get to Parliament?
We wish the government to hear us. Anyone that maybe you hear our concern, you will give it to him.
How challenging has it been? I mean, since your funds were locked up.
A lot of people have died. Some people are sick. We have a lot of our senior men who have gone for retirement and they need their money to survive. They are not getting it. So that is why we took on ourselves to come and board. We have our people there. Their old ages are there. They can't work. Their money is stuck. Yeah. So that is why we came.
In the finance minister will be addressing Parliament. He'll be presenting to us the media budget review. What do you want to hear from the finance minister regarding your plight?
We wish he would talk on our behalf so that our money would be paid for us. That's our main purpose.
What of you?
Yeah, I know Legacy, they gave them their license. So I want the government or the minister to hammer it on it that Legacy should pay us our money. Yeah.
But Legacy says, well, the money is with the retriever. If the money is with the retriever, what can Legacy do?
that is where the confusion lies. That is where the confusion lies. Because we wrote a letter to SEC, and SEC gave them 7 days to call us to have a payment plan.
Did they call you after the 7-day period?
They never called.
Okay. Did you go back to SEC?
Yes, we wrote a letter back to SEC.
And what did SEC say?
We've not gotten a reply yet.
When was this?
That was last year.
Last year?
Yes.
You wrote to SEC last year, after they first responded that they're asking Legacy to meet you with the payment plan?
Yes.
And after last year, you still know. Have you tried going back to SEC again, writing back to SEC again?
Yes, we wrote back to SEC telling them that the people have not, they've not called us and so like that. But still, we've not gotten any reply from SEC. Yeah.
If after today you don't hear anything about your plight from the finance minister, what would you do? What will be your next line of action?
I think we will still, we will convey our people. I think that one, maybe the strike will go on. Because
the picketing?
Yeah.
But you're coming all the way from Takwa?
Yes, please.
Okay.
We are coming all the way from Takwa.
Okay.
We've been coming always. This is our 3rd time of coming here.
Okay.
Yeah, we've been coming and they will be telling us a different story. Always tell, oh, you go.
What are the stories they've been telling you?
They said the money is with the government. They've not paid them. So when they pay them, they will give it to us. Always.
Okay. We do hope that your plight is heeded too. We wish you all the best. Is there anything else you want to add?
The small thing I'll add is we want the Minister of Finance, the government, should help us to retrieve our money from Legacy Financial Service or Legacy Fund Management. Yes.
Okay. Thank you very much for coming. We wish you all the best. So that's Stanley Yeboah and Roland Texan Sam. They are customers of Legacy Fund Management Limited. Their funds are locked up and they are asking for these funds to be released to them. We're back shortly.
Behaving because it's having a toll on business. The exchange rate CD to a dollar is now 15, approximately 16
yeah,
CDs.
1550, yeah.
Yes, and certainly because of the way our economy is heavily import driven. So when you have such a system, more importation comes in to drive production, and certainly it's going to increase production cost.
Yeah.
And once production cost goes up, what will happen to the ordinary Ghanaian on the street? So it's very important that issues around the FX is discussed and dealt with. So principally, these will be the key drivers, looking at how the inflation rate is faring, the interest rate, all are the economic variables that would affect business that we do in this country, of course. And then the ordinary Ghanaian, because the ordinary Ghanaian is not necessarily interested in these economic variables, but by inference, if they perform well, they'll reflect in the pockets of people.
Bread and butter.
They will definitely reflect in the pockets of people. I think that last week also, I went to the barbering shop, and I had to pay a double of what I used to pay. And the gentleman says that now where we are, rent has gone up. And I understood him. Because why would rent go up? Of course, maybe the landlord, it's Achimotamo. There are other variables that drives the cost. And once the cost is going up, definitely you are in business to make some marginal profit. Exactly. So these are things the ordinary Ghanaian will want to hear. So it's very important that in as much as they will talk about the economic variables and all those things, at least something that will then give some form of assurance to the ordinary Ghanaian in the street. It's very important.
Are you expecting any expenditure cut, any area?
No, it's very important. In terms of expenditure cut, so let's go through the statistics briefly. Because I'm a tax man, I may be a bit tax biased. But then if you look at the 2024 budget that was presented by our former finance minister, these are the key indicators that, or the targets that they set for themselves or for Ghana. So the overall GDP, the expectation was that by the end of the year, it should hover around 2.8%. Non-oil GDP, 2.1%. End of year inflation should be around 15%. So we just have to ask ourselves, how has this fared Now, in terms of revenue, the expectation of government then was that they're going to raise a whopping amount of 167.4 billion Ghana cedi in terms of revenue.
Yeah.
And principally, there's 77% of that revenue should come from tax. Now, if we look at what GRA has been able to do, GRA has been able to, exceed their mid-year target. Of course, the amount I already mentioned, GRA was supposed to contribute about 135.38 billion Ghana cedi for the whole year. If you divide that by half, they are supposed to, raise a revenue of 67.91 billion Ghana cedi. As of now, per the estimate or per the actual that they have already announced, they've been able to raise 68 billion Ghana cedi in terms of revenue. Clearly, you could see that they have exceeded their target marginally. But then the question is, if we look at the expenditure breakdown, if you look at the expenditure breakdown at the beginning of the year, in terms of allocation, what we have raised, how is it going to be allocated? Interest payment is hovering around 25%, compensation 28%, government units, grants that they will give to government units 17%, capital expenditure 13%, other expenditure 12%, goods and services 5%. So if I'm to sum them together, you could see that consumption and interest alone, is taking about 53%
of the revenue.
Of the revenue. So you may raise much revenue, but almost 53% is going into what? Expenditure. So clearly, expenditure cuts is very, very important. For interest payment, they have structures in place to manage some of these things. They could then extend the interest payment period. With their, this debt exchange issue that cropped up, it was all to extend the interest payment period to some reasonable number of years so that it gives government that fiscal space to operate. But
the space to operate is not that much.
Good, because interest is a constant variable. You can't do anything certainly about it. You certainly have to pay. But consumption in terms of, let's say, compensation is what has to be looked at. We need to look at our wage bill vis-a-vis productivity.
Right.
All of these things would have to be looked, and it's painstaking. I always say that there is something called the incubation period that as a country, as a nation, we may have to pay attention to. We could want something very quick, but the question is it important for us to get it at that pace? What must we do today in order to achieve that? So you look at your wage bill and you look vis-a-vis the number of people that you have to recruit, because unemployment is high and government supposedly is the biggest employer. You understand me? So what must be put in place in order to trigger private sector development that will aid in recruitment? That should also take us into skill and manpower development, because every employer would want to take someone who is reasonably skilled. So it has to be looked at holistically in order to then, for you to be able to manage your wage bill. It's very, very important. And also, one good thing, I see that other services have been doing a lot of work in terms, there should be sanctions. People who have flouted the rules or the terms of engagement have to be sanctioned. If assets has to be reclaimed, assets will have to be reclaimed. All of these are sources of revenue.
That's the challenge here, because the audit service is bringing out is churning out these reports. Okay, these people have flouted, but as to recouping is the problem.
Yes, you see, I said something very instructive when we started Offset. I said we are a reflection of our own society.
That's true.
It's very important, because if it's me, I'll go and see an uncle somewhere, you also go and see, and that is what frustrates the process. And our judicial system too does not operate in that swift manner. We say that the wheels of justice
grind so slowly,
yes.
yeah.
So all of these KPIs affect sometimes revenue mobilization. But that said, controls must be put in place. Where we can cut expenditure, we need to. We need to, because whoever would want to give you funding would also expect productivity out of this funding. But if we don't put these measures in place and then it is holiday as usual, I don't think we will see the needed productivity that we expect to see as a country. As a country. And it's very, very important that some of these things have to be, and it's very difficult because of what the decentralization processes that we have in place. I mean, in terms of local governance, from the assemblies and up to other government agencies. If you really want to do a good work, it painstaking. But if we do not do that, we cannot be able to mobilize the needed revenue. If you look at the figures, you realize that tax revenue is almost, it's 77% of the revenue expectation. Tax. So then how are you going to do that? How are you going to mobilize those taxes? Getting people into the bracket. I think that the Ghana Revenue Authority and the Ministry of Finance have been forthcoming with a lot of measures that they have rolled out. E-VAT, I mean, is doing very well. Now, if you issue an invoice, it's easier for government to see the required revenue. And technically, it's going to help block some loopholes and then rake in the needed revenue. But you could clearly see that if we have 7.9 million active Ghanaians and only 1.9 million are very active in terms of payment of taxes, what has happened to the 5.4 million?
And we are always saying we are widening the tax
exactly
net.
And the other question is, we need to then interrogate the data. I have not done that. The 7.9 million, are we looking at active working Ghanaians in terms of individuals as well as companies? Well, if you have school children in there, it then affects the variable, but possibly that may have been done to arrive at this figure. Now, in terms of, let's say, widening the tax net, we need to have a lot of systems in place. You and I know that we buy a lot of things online. People are doing business.
Yes.
People do business in their boots, car boots, and all those. It is sometimes administratively difficult to get these people into the tax bracket.
To regularize them.
Because of how they do their business. So
how then do we address it? Because there are a lot of people who are doing business now, online.
Yes. So we need to ask ourselves, how have the developed countries done it? What system have they put in place so that immediately, possibly, I start doing business in let's say, USA, I'm identified. I may not have the necessary documentation, but then once I'm into active business, whoever is paying knows that I need to pass it through a certain system. And unfortunately, it will take us some time to get there until we are able to have a robust system that has everybody plugged in. Whether you are doing business in your car, if I want to make payment, I can't pay cash. I need to route it through a certain system. And we have people who are tracking. Look, it's going to be very difficult. We'll still have people who would never be in the tax brackets. And that's why I said it's all about the incubation period. It's very important. Of course, we did not just get up from here to be where we are today. We would have gone through some processes
and stages.
Yes. So it's very important that we give credence to the process. But of course, that should also be juxtaposed to the expectations of the citizenry. We want good roads, good health care, and all those things.
Does it also mean that we are not being taxed enough? Because already the citizen is complaining that we are overburdened with taxes.
Yes.
And it is not correspondent to what we see on the ground.
Yes. The reason for the tax burden is that, for instance, let's use you and myself. where I work, my employer will make sure they pay the taxes because my employer, Deloitte, will be identified.
Exactly.
Is one of the leading professional firms in Ghana. They are easily identified. And any issue about Deloitte makes news.
Yeah.
You are in that space. You'll be glad to have a news around this particular issue that will sell. So it's easy to have access to you and I in terms of the payment of taxes. So that is why there is, in terms of direct taxes, there's a burden because it's difficult to pursue direct taxes. And that's why government always go the indirect tax route. For that one, if you slap it on goods, people will definitely buy.
Yeah.
If you go to
VAT,
ShopRite, yes,
COVID,
yes, you definitely buy. You get
e-levy.
You definitely have some substantial number of Ghanaian populace patronizing goods one way or the other.
Yeah.
You can never say you won't buy. If you go to ShopRite, if you go to Accra Mall, you see the number of people who are going in there. All caliber of Ghanaians, regardless of your income stream, you go there to buy something. So when it comes to indirect taxes, it's one of the, let me say, reasonably easy way of mobilizing taxes. Because it's consumption driven.
Yeah.
The issue is the direct taxes.
But why is it an issue?
It's an issue because, one, identification.
Right.
Yes, we have the TIN number. We are all identified one way or the other.
Yeah.
But that is not just the end. It's one thing identifying you, and it's another thing tracking your streams of income.
That's
so
true.
If I operate in a manner such that although I've been identified, but in terms of my
you cannot
activities,
track or monitor my
monitor
streams of income. Yeah.
And direct tax is principally on the income you earn directly, like your employment income. If you're into business, buying and selling, it's direct. How many of us even file their R returns? And I think that was the reason why.
I think it's a major challenge in this country.
Yes.
How many people know that they're actually supposed to file their returns?
For knowing that, I would say that GRE has been very forthcoming in terms of, education. That I can vouch for the Revenue Authority. They have been very good at making sure that public education it goes down there. I think that in recent time the Commissioner General is even engaging religious body to help in that agenda. But like I said, it's one thing having the knowledge and knowing, and it's another thing getting people to do. That is what makes direct taxes difficult. And when it comes to direct taxes for businesses, there could be ways of ensuring that they erode the base. Hence, tax audits too is something that is very, very important, what the GRE is doing. But then capacity, because there are a lot of clients, there are a lot of taxpayers. Where is the capacity to be able to do that level of audit? So, of course, they will place emphasis on high-level taxpayers. I always say that it will happen so because if you don't have the capacity, what will you do? Assuming today you want to cover this program and you don't have the capacity in terms of personnel, what can you do? You can't do anything about
only wish.
that. You can only wish. So it's very important that it's an all-encompassing process. All-encompassing process. We need to look at it critically. But the first step is to ensure that you get people to voluntarily come into the tax net, those that you can have access to, and you put systems in place whereby you get them to do. For instance, now if you want to, even our professional program, if you want to renew your certificate, you need to show your Ghana card. So it's going to take time for us to see the dream in terms of revenue mobilization, in terms of the systems that have been put in place. But it's not out of place to also pursue. It's very important.
Now, let's look at some of the taxes that have been introduced, especially e-levy.
Yes.
We've heard from the political sects, okay, the NPP, the flag bearer for the NPP says, well, when he's made president, he will abolish e-levy. John Mahama is also saying same. Is this particular tax line that bad?
Okay, so we need to look at it from a different lens before we even talk about the tax. We could realize that Momo creates convenience for people to do money transfer.
Yeah.
It is also the same tool that could be used to bring people on board in terms of widening the tax net. And I believe that it also makes doing business easy. It's very important. So the agenda then, you could see that the then vice president, still the vice president anyway, he was the one championing digital payment platforms. So there's the thinking that the e-levy could have been a negative variable in terms of achieving that agenda. You get it? It is not so bad a tax, but the mode of, quantifying the tax and even collecting it must be looked at. And the rate, I can tell you that when VAT was being introduced somewhere in 1995, it had a huge backlash. What were the issues? The rate, education and all those things.
People didn't understand it.
Yes. So if we had maybe started from a lower rate, possibly, and had progressively implemented it, it could have seen the light of day. But then, with what is being done, the thinking is that it is then...
Well, was it also not because we're under pressure to mobilize revenue?
Yeah, for being under pressure, we will always be under pressure. You see, successive government, we've always gone to IMF for, bailout. You see, so, and once you go for bailout, you need to do some house cleaning. Of course, the thinking is that you may not have done certain things right. That is why you find yourself in a situation that you are. So definitely, you would, because if you look at our revenue to GDP, tax revenue to GDP, within the sub-region, we are the lowest. So then, if we are looking at the figures, the thinking is that you are not raising what? Enough. Now, if you are not raising enough, what tax types are we looking at? So, of course, government will want to look at a way, to be able to meet that KPI, to have access to that funding.
But how does government raise revenue or mobilize revenue and not tax people? Because that's what government is saying, especially with this media budget review. But we'll hear from you shortly after this video. Stay tuned.
Okay.